Well, it's okay. My wife and I welcomed our baby boy. So these days I spend most of the time babysitting. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Your first gift for this year
Yes.
is a
Yeah,
baby
he
boy.
he was actually 2 months old.
Okay.
On the 8th.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he was born in the U.S., but they came, I think, just before Christmas.
Okay.
So we're just having a bit of fun.
That's good.
Yeah. Don't sleep no nights.
That's nice to hear. And
Yes.
once again, thank you. Thank you for taking time off your babysitting duties to honor my invitation.
I'll honor your invitation any day.
Well, let me start first by then start the discussion we've been having. I'm sure you've been monitoring and paying,
Yes.
listening to us. What do you make of?
You know, I actually also heard about it yesterday.
Okay.
I was just going through Twitter and I saw it. And to understand some of these things, you have to also understand the architecture of the government and their mindset. So there's, I've heard people say national security should issue a statement or national security must answer. There's an architecture at the presidency where they have a department for diaspora affairs.
Okay.
So most of these visits would have actually been organized and facilitated by that office. I think they dubbed these kind of visits beyond the return, which is still following up on the visits of the diaspora. I think a couple of years.
Year
ago,
of return.
The year of return.
Yeah.
So, but I'm wondering what we asked national security to do, because the office of the president is manned by national security. It's not manned by the president. It's not manned by the chief of staff. It's not manned by any of those. It's actually manned by the National Security Office. So if you begin to go to Flagstaff House, if you use the back road, all those officers you see work for national security. So for that to have happened, it meant that national security itself okayed this event. I saw the video. I haven't seen. I wasn't too sure about the quality of it, but I saw the video, and I was completely taken aback. I'm just thinking, okay, Meek Mill calls the office, the White House, and he says, "I want to come and do a music video. I'm visiting the vice president or the president," and then he ends up with all these videos that he's rapping about. And listen to the lyrics, listen to the lyrics, and the image of the Black Star symbol behind him, the red, gold, green, and this. Meek Mill is an artist I like. Okay, I actually really like him, but he couldn't have dreamt of going to the White House to do this. There's no way that would have happened. You remember under Trump, the Russian foreign affairs minister was allowed in the White House. You saw the anger of Americans. How dare you take somebody like that to our office and to the White House? And so we hold this office, the Jubilee House, as the highest place. If you're a Christian, maybe you value it as the church. If you are a citizen, it's the same reverence you give to the Jubilee House. So people respect some level of decorum. I can't even imagine a Ghanaian or a staffer standing at the Jubilee House using those kind of language, swear words, publicly. Not even shooting a video, publicly using that kind of language. So for me, it was shocking. I honestly hope, because these guys, you can't take anything past them. I hope they didn't think that this is, let's let Meek Mill come and do a video at the Flagstaff House and that will project Ghana. I even hope they didn't pay him for doing that. I actually hope so. That
there's the possibility that they
absolutely because they see these
things.
these things as a projection of Ghana. Okay. They see these things as this is an influential rapper. It's a year of return, beyond the return. They have an office at the Flagstaff House that has diaspora relations management. So I hope that this was not a project to say, let's bring him in, let's pay him off, let's pay him some money, let him come and do this in the hope that it will project our country. I hope not. But if you look at how these things play out, you can't rule that out. But I'm just shocked, really, because there's no way a citizen, a tax-paying citizen, can go to the Flagstaff House to do so. Because the argument would be, Ghanaians can do it. So why not Meek Mill? Okay? So the other argument is that if Ghanaians cannot do it, if Ghanaian musicians cannot do it, how much more Meek Mill? So I'm trying to understand whether this is really like it really happened. That is not some video that somebody took and is using. Even if it was, the way it's been put together, the highest office, the most revered office of our land, being put in a rap video with all those details of lyrics and swear words. At the backdrop is our national flag, is our national ensemble. The black power is what that star in the black star in our flag says. So you look at that, and it was not maybe even at the seaside. This is the most important office. So you want to, anytime something comes out of the Flagstaff House, that's why the president don't stand at the beach to address the nation. That's why he doesn't stand at Circle to address the nation. So the projection is that anytime something is coming out of that office, that house, that it is so important that people must take note of it. So to have a music video shot at the presidency, I'm trying to understand the common sense behind it and what really they are trying to project. So don't ask for national security. They are as culpable as anybody else. Okay. Because there's no way phones, cameras, audio recordings, all of that number of team members could have even crossed TV3 side, entering that yard without the approval of national security. It's not possible. They would have gone through a lot of processes to get there. So this, having happened, is a nationally sanctioned, is sanctioned by the highest authority. Nobody should make any argument about it. Because the thing about saying we are looking for answers, we have our answer. There's no need for any answer anymore. What you will get from government is spin. Okay. So when you say you're looking for a response from national security, you're actually waiting for a spin. You have your answer. The answer is that at the highest level in our government, an American artist has been allowed to send his crew there to go and shoot a music video. And it is not a video about African diaspora coming back to Ghana, because that's the concept that they are having, beyond the return. If it was a music about how slave trade happened and how we went to America and how we are back home, couldn't they have even engineered that? If this is a thinking government, couldn't they have engineered that? But this is nothing like that. It's about someone going there with the very serious backdrop, doing what he has done. That's the answer. There's nothing more that you can get from government except spin.
But and then, so if there was to be an explanation of what happened, who would you prefer comes from? Which officer?
I'm saying I have my explanation. The explanation is that the explanation is that you see, for example, if there was a rumor that Meek Mill shot a video at the presidency, then I will ask for answers.
Okay.
That, okay, the communication department will come and explain how that happened.
Okay.
But in this case, we've gone past that.
Okay.
We actually are seeing videos that we as Ghanaians know is the office of the president. I think you were speaking to someone who worked there.
Yeah.
He bears testimony to the fact that that is actually the office of the president.
Yes.
I haven't worked there before, so I don't know. But he has been there. I saw it, but I'm a Ghanaian. I saw the whole building and everything. He bears testimony to the fact that that is what happened. That is really where the Flagstaff House is. That is actually Jubilee House. So for me, it has happened. I think it's important that we form our opinions already. Because as for government, they will come and spin. That is all they will come and do. Anything. How do you ask for explanation? Why did this happen? Why? You're going to ask national security the question, why did it happen? They know why it happened. They gave the accreditation for everyone. They must have done all the background checks of who and who were coming in, how many people were coming, and where they were going to visit. They know everything. Okay. And we are seeing the results of what they did. There's no explanation anymore. So as for me, I have my explanation. Government can come and say, well, it was whatever. At the end of the day, like I'm saying, it's spin. If you wait to form your opinion, what you're going to get is a spin. You've seen the video. It is the Flagstaff House. This has happened. Make your opinion. You don't need government to come and explain to you how bad this is and how ridiculous this. Look, go to the White House and try to even go behind the back gate and see what will happen to you. And he knows there's no way he could have done that in the White House. But that's the thing. The thing about there's this inferiority complex, and especially with these government people, you see them flamboyant and all of that, but they inside them, if you're a critical person, you see that they have a lot of complex. They have to dress a certain way. They have to dress in a suit and jacket with handkerchief under it, with flowers, and that kind of mindset. Okay, that maybe this is going to project Ghana in. So listen, the work that we elected them to do has gone flat, and none of these gimmicks at the Flagstaff House will restore the reputation of the country globally. There is a matrix in assessing a government, and Meek Mill's video is not one of them.
Well, that's an interest. But I was also wondering, for a lot of Ghanaians, well, if you form, because I have also concluded, I have my conclusions already.
Okay.
And reading the story from Ghana Web where the president was saying he was excited, his daughter convinced Meek Mill to come and see him, that gave me some light as to what to expect. But after expressing the outrage, exactly what do you think Ghanaians should be demanding for? Because there has to be accountability at the end of the day.
You see, Sena, we haven't even seen the full video. There could even be more abominable things coming up in the video when you probably see the full video edited and all of that. This is more like a promotion. That's how these artists work. They put out a flyer and gets, like what you're doing, gets commotion around it, then it goes very far and then becomes what they call viral, and then finally the album drops and then everybody is looking forward to it. This is a marketing gimmick for him, and it is only for him. We benefit nothing from it. Okay. If he had gone to a place to shoot his video, he would have even paid for it.
Yeah.
Okay? We opened the floodgates of the most important office. Like the most, like I'm telling you, you see how our brothers, the Muslims, revere their mosque. They take their shoes off before they enter the place. You see how Christians see the pulpit. That is how citizens see the presidency. So when you open it up for anything, it has to be the most important thing that should come out of it to Ghanaians. So I'm still trying to understand the common sense. Did you say that the president said his daughter
Yes. Convince him to meet. I don't know if you saw the earlier picture.
I don't want to believe that.
Oh, no,
First
there's a
of all, well, here we go again. You know, first of all, I don't think the president's daughter works at the Flagstaff House.
No.
Okay, it's these things, but like I'm saying, they tend to feel. It started with Kufu. You remember the same Flagstaff House when they were building the Flagstaff House, and Ghanaians were demanding how much is the budget. Blah blah. You heard what Kojo Mpiani said at the time. They are doing it. When they finish, they will tell you how much it cost. Anytime you elect these guys into office, they tend to feel like this is, yeah, you've given us the mandate, so shut up and listen to us. Let's finish our mandate. That it seems to be the mindset of these guys anytime they're in office. First of all, it is even ridiculous to say that the president's daughter, who is not government, we don't reply to him, we don't respond to him. He doesn't work for national security. How he comes, because you see, it should tell you some of the things that inform their thinking. Because, for example, let me tell you, for example, cathedral. Cathedral. If a cathedral was going to be built in Europe, okay, this is how the process could be. The president thinks about it. He would then ask for like a document, a working document, on whether this, my dream, is even realistic.
Okay.
Then they will ask their national security or intelligence outfit to give them an estimate of where should this be sited, why that place, the thinking of the citizens about a project like this, and whether it's necessary. Look at where they put the cathedral. Just right by the runabout. So you just imagine the cathedral and listen. Imagine for 1 second an event at National Theatre on the same day, an event at the conference center, an event in Parliament, and an event at the National Cathedral. Imagine, and just picture it in your mind, that small runabout. Imagine what you're going to witness.
And it's even close to physicians and surgeons.
Yes.
One of the most prominent event centers.
No, even you forget that.
Yeah.
Just imagine the traffic situation. Conference center, National Theatre, Cathedral, Parliament, all in section. And if you're not lucky and there is a game at the stadium, you just imagine the magnitude of what we are thinking about. So the things that inform policy, okay, are in civilized worlds are very deep-rooted stuff. Okay. It will not be that a decision will not be taken that Meek Mill will come to the Flagstaff House just because the president's doctor, Daddy, can you please let Meek Mill come to the Flagstaff House? That is an executive decision. And if you take government serious, how ideas ends up in policy, ends up in decisions, it's such a serious business. When I hear we Africans talk like this, okay, look at the cost we have had to bear with the cathedral. First of all, I hear people talk about the cost only in terms of the amount government has expended. But listen, people's real estate were broken down. You heard there's a real estate company that's trying to take the government to court. So their businesses were destroyed. Okay, that's a cost government has to pay. Then the buildings, the cost of building all those judges, passport office, all those enclave, all the cost of building those apartments is also there. Okay. That's not enough. The value of the land on which the cathedral is being built is also there. Okay. That's not enough. They had to now relocate these judges and offices at an additional cost. When you look at the And then that's not enough. They situated it at the most awkward place when you in Accra, because honestly, that is going to jam pack traffic in that area. So when you look at it, you wonder, forget about the whether it was a good project and the timing of it. Forget about that. Look at what you had to incur in order to build a cathedral. So that is a decision. Okay, government. Government. The president had the idea. Okay. It metamorphosed into a policy document or a policy idea, and eventually it became a decision. And if you go and look inside, just like this story about Meek Mill, somebody whispering to the president's ear that let Meek Mill come to the Flagstaff House, I can almost tell you some bishop or some pastor somewhere whispered into the president's ear that you need to do this. You need to build a house for God, and your life will be extended by 100 years. And that is why we have this situation. Policy and decision making in government is a serious business and ought to be taken that serious. But when you look at these things, you can now understand why we find ourselves in where we are, because sometimes common sense doesn't prevail. Simple things. The guys who said they were the best, they were the most competent, these are the policy decisions they are taking for the nation. And so I'm not surprised. Some bishop whispered into his ear, his daughter whispers into his ear, it becomes a decision. Executive decision for that matter.
Mr. Archer, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We have a lot more to talk about. Mr. Raymond Archer joining us in the studio for a conversation. We'll be right back.
Imagine strutting into the most anticipated wedding of the year, only to see 7 other girls wearing your exact same outfit.
You are special and one of a kind, and that's why whether it's voice, data, or SMS, you get to enjoy personalized offers tailored to your specific needs with MTN just for you. Dial *141# or select your options on the My MTN app to redeem your unique just for you package on Ghana's best mobile network. MTN.
Say, Masuma Jome, many langard for any chakabia. Order for Sawo Passasia Mansu Bienihu, Assasia Honkata Seb Edimu. Look no further. Hearts Builders Real Estate ever sorted out. Yawan Sasinibi was Shine Hills, 13,000 cities. Chopoli 20,000. Ningo Pram Pram, plot size and a 70 by 100. By a deposit of 4,000 Ghana cities. Diakano, yes, spread them on. Let's Yanaka Pusumi Siatem. Who assassin the baby? Who perceive Sidan Esisumawa. Hearts Builders Real Estate. Your right choice. Yet on plumbing materials bia. Ye delivery our and cry anytime. Yes, so your cleaning services BAB. Boho ye too. A Juba be for construction hono. Men kotu sikemu. For one Christmas promotion ya. Hearts Builders Real Estate at the Mount so. Freya CCR 0555 314 806 0241 665 200. Yawa Ashamai. Yani Mandela Park no ena edi enimshe. Hearts Builders Real Estate. We are your future planners.
One station.
Accra 2022, 23, 24 and more. We don't try me by Drema. Back live.
Commercial free.
This is Mid-Morning Show.
Oh, we love what you have in Bad Drema. Mid-Morning Show.
The Mid-Morning Show.
Yes.
90.5.
Good morning, my neighbors. On Children by Drema.
Experience quality
Radio station.
Put your hands up.
Rave.
Yes.
Powerful. Morning vibes and more. Accra 90.5. We don't try me by Drema.
Whoa, we love you.
Your Mid-Morning Show on Radio Go.
We are back like 100 times. 2 times bigger. 90.5.
All the things I know that
Mid-morning show with Ochame Badremba.
Mira, say dear, my one dinner basro.
Yeah, with me who so what dinner ba. Hey, Agbebe MW capsules. And I'm what dinner say. Can ye baby beer? Where the my bread, my tin can
Say Agbebe MW capsules no. Abro mini pedria pomudin. And ama me jina me nine so. We dear, a money meme nina neno. Ain't ya one no. Opie bi.
I like that. Agbebe typhon so the drinking when I'm say. Won't me di. And now what yare. Num Agbebe typhon be. The beme what did kama. The sound boni pedriano akwo tianyarwa.
Venus gota asami yem crew. A yes stomach also use dear. Bibia the din dada.
Venus gota ayano kre. One man menesiesio. Ye shem edi ya hunko moseya. Liya niya je.
Esa ye beko pharmacy, herbal and chemical shops. Dodwa ye fre Agbeve herbal products 020-8130-790 and 0246-595256. Appeal for abata wama wama nufo. Eni nkwada woni mfie dumienu nka ho. FDA aji edwede nkrato yatum.
6 minutes past 9. Thank you very much for sticking and staying with us. Let me remind you of what you just heard, because of course, Agbeve MW capsules is available in any herbal shop, drugstore, pharmacy, and chemical shop within your locality. You can find Agbeve MW capsules, good for male vitality, vigor, and strength, and for female vitality and low libido. You need Agbeve MW capsules. There's also Venus Gota, good for the treatment of stomach ulcer, which includes peptic ulcer, gastritis, and duodenal ulcer. It also treats urinary tract infection, vaginal discharges, penile discharges, and burning sensation in the private parts. You can find it, like I said, both products, Agbeve MW capsules, Venus Gota, at any herbal shop, drugstore, pharmacy, and chemical shop within your locality. For bulk purchase, contact Agbeve Herbal Center on 0246 595256, or you can locate Agbeve Herbal Center at Soweto last stop. Like my guest is Raymond Archer. Once again, thank you. It's wonderful. It's always wonderful to see you every time.
Same here.
Well, we're just talking about this issue of what we are all seeing in terms of what has happened at the Jubilee House. Then there's that link that is drawn when it comes to the matter of the... because whilst we are with the National Cathedral, let's stay there for a while before I go to the Minister for Finance, who is also another family member of the president who's attracting a lot of attention. The National Cathedral issue, you're saying, first, we are not looking at the total cost to the Ghanaian.
Yes.
We are only looking at, okay, the presidency says we spent 339, which is actually not the cost to the Ghanaian that we should be looking at.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Look, if you bought a plot of land in Cantonment, it probably going to cost you...
Please bring the mic closer to you.
Okay. If you bought a plot of land in Cantonment, it's probably going to cost you a few thousands of dollars. So you look at that acreage of land, and first you value it. So you're going to run into millions of dollars in the first place, just the value of the land alone. You're going to also do an evaluation of all the costs that government incurred in building all those judges' flats, passport office, and value it. So then you will now come to, because that is also an investment that has already been made on the land. So first you value the land, then you value the investment that has gone into the land first. Then you move to the next level. Other private properties were destroyed in order to make way for this cathedral. So then you now look at the cost of how much the government will have to pay for that properties that were seized or destroyed to pave way for the building of the cathedral. Then you now have to also look at the cost of government, the cost to government of relocating the judges, and they are in Cantonment. Okay, they are living in Cantonment. I hear all sorts of stories about who built houses for them to rent and all sorts of stories. But let's put that one aside. So now government now incurs another cost of having to build or rent a new place for these judges. Okay? So that alone will be 3-4 times the cost of the construction. put the cost that government is talking aside. That is the actual cost of building. That is only building. But if you put all of this together, we're talking about millions of dollars. And you ask yourself, why will a country like Ghana that begs for arms from Western countries be this frivolous? Because you see, the argument is, oh, it's going to be a tourist attraction. Tourism. That's the reason? Tourism. Do you know how many tourist sites that could have been developed with that amount of money? Sena, you just calculate. Some of these tourist sites need just some few thousands. And they will attract more people, more visitors than this. And this could have had, if they applied the total cost of this cathedral to the development of tourism in Ghana, that would have had a national, it would have been life-changing for the tourism industry. But that's it. They have this mindset about legacy, naming things. This was done by Nanado. Okay, this was done by my father. This was done, the same way they talk about their father is the same way their kids get to meddle in government affairs in this manner. So they change names. They change names of places to reflect, they print new currencies, they bring new photos to reflect themselves. That psychologically is someone who has a complex. Serious complex. You see, when you look, like the past few months, I've been thinking about the project of perhaps looking back at Ghana's debt, right? Straight from Kwame Nkrumah's time to now. Okay. What we borrowed, how much we borrowed, and what we use it for. And go back to those places to see what the impact has been. Look at one specific example. Saglemi. Okay. We borrowed money that your children will pay maybe when they're 25 years old. Mm-hmm. The project was almost completed when the NDC left office. But once again, I'm telling you about the mindset. Once we are in power, we can do whatever we want. So, Sena, once again, look at this common sense. You inherit a project ready to live in. Okay? And you say, well, I smell a rat. So therefore, I'm going to investigate it. Yeah. Fine. Whilst you spend time investigating this rat, the interest on the loan is accruing. And what is annoying most is that these guys borrow money that you and I we are paying what somebody borrowed maybe 20 years ago. Okay? The kind of loans that we are borrowing to do this construction will be paid for by our kids when they are 25, 30, 40, when they are trying to find their feet in life. So the president and his government comes to power and leaves Aglemi to run down for 6 years. 6 solid years. And what did they do now? They now say, oh, at the end of it, we want to now sell it to the private sector. Okay. So this is the mindset. First, if you want to sell it to the private sector, commonsensically, when you buy a new car, the value is different, isn't it? In fact, even in Ghana, a simple example, when you buy a car and you have a DV plate on it, everybody says it's home use, so they can live with that. The day you put a Ghana number plate on it, the value changes. Okay. So here it is. The president is handed a car with the DV plate on it. He puts a number plate on it and runs it down for 6 years. And now say, well, I'm now realizing this car is not even good, so I want to sell it. Where were they thinking 6 years ago? The competent people were elected into office. So they've run the property down. Now what is going to happen is that it's going to be sold at the knockdown value. Because if you sold Saglami 6 years ago, the value would have been different. Then we have this, all this, I think it was Ayariga that went there, I think 2 years ago or 1 year ago. Ayariga went there and he was scandalized because of the heat. The glasses were all breaking, people were stealing, blah, blah, blah. So the property has been deliberately run down for 6 solid years.
It was worse the last time they went there.
Yes.
A lot of the doors were security doors were gone. Several other things were taken.
Yes. So they run it down, and now they want to sell it off at a knockdown value. And I can tell you, nobody other than their circles is the one that's going to get these properties. They're going to sell it for nothing. But I get the fact that yes, we elected them into office, but it was another government that had this policy, and that policy was endorsed by the whole of Ghanaians, that was going to be some sort of a public housing. How do you just get up one day and say, I have changed it? It's the reason why our debt levels are unsustainable. Because the value that we would have derived from this house is now at zero. For 6 years, at zero. But the loan that built this house is running. What is the common? And you have business people who are in government who would never ever think about National Cathedral in that manner. If it was a private business venture of the president or his cousin, and they needed to build an office, a new office complex, you bet the amount of scrutiny that would have gone into the decision of whether we even need a new office and where we have to locate it, at what cost to the company, all of that. But here we are. They would never have taken this decision if it was their private businesses. That they own a property, they allow the property to devalue to the lowest level before they sell it. They would have sold it the first day. We still have public servants that need accommodation. Don't have. 6 years, they couldn't get accommodation for public servants. And they need it. And yet, we have had a government that said, because you elected me into office, I have the power to undo anything, including common sense. And that is why we have Saglami the way it is. So you look at all of that, and you see a pattern. We're worried about Meek Mill taking video cameras to the fractal house. You saw the story of Sawa Brony and the presidential jet.
Yes.
It's the same. It's a pattern. When it comes to their interest, they don't care what happens. They don't care. This is a Canadian. That girl is a Canadian. It doesn't matter whether she's half Ghanaian. She's Canadian. She could do anything in the plane that houses our presidency. If it's a bag she put in that plane, it can be there for 30 years. If she put a listening device in the plane, it can be there for 30 years. Canadian citizen. In the presidential jet of Ghana, taking pictures of everyone. So you see a pattern that these are people who either don't know what they're doing or don't care. The only time they care is when their interest is at stake.
That's the pattern you see.
Yes.
Is it the don't care part, or they don't know what they're doing, or they know what they're doing and they don't care what you say?
It's either they don't know what they're doing, or they don't care, or both. They know what they're doing, but they don't care. Because if you look at what is look, Sena, I hate to digress because there's so much.
Yeah.
Listen, COVID. I hear the government every day talk about COVID this, COVID that, COVID brought us here, COVID brought us there. Listen, if I show you the recklessness with which they spend the COVID money, I know Parliament is supposed to look into it. I have everything.
On COVID.
On COVID. I have everything. Go and see what they did to the nation in terms of their expenditures. And then you come back. Ghana had the best opportunity to turn the economy around during the COVID time. But once again, so long as their interest is at stake, they either don't know what they're doing or they know what they're doing, but they don't care. They just blew the COVID money. I can tell you for a fact.
Give me, because you've been asking that question. We've had this grand accounting. We spent 19 billion.
No, what I have is the itemized contract, who got what, who did what, for how much. I have that.
So give me an idea of one.
I don't want to go into it. I honestly don't want to go into it, but I can show you the documents.
Okay.
I can show you the documents. One of the most scandalizing part is the Sputnik
the V vaccine, Sputnik V vaccine.
Yeah, vaccine. They paid money. It was not supplied. Now they had to find a way to get the money back. You see the letters from front and back between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Health. Just trying to find a way to resolve this scandal. This is a government that your people are dying. So you probably take the best decision ever, isn't it? Yeah. How do you pay for something that was not delivered? Now you have to ask for the money back from the supplier. It's ridiculous. Even on the point of death, they didn't know what they were doing, or they didn't care. Or they knew and they didn't care. Look at the president's free SHS. Unfortunately, I don't write anymore. So sometimes, and because of the kind of government that we are running, even when you know things, you don't want to say it because really it will come to nothing. They don't care. Or even if they care, they know what they are doing, they don't care. Free SHS, the president's pet project. Sena, free SHS. They just got the money and gave it to themselves. I hear suppliers crying, we haven't been paid school feeding. There's never been corruption in our history that is so grand than the school feeding program. And I hear people, when you talk, the government goes to arrest you. Let them come and arrest me. Whether I will not collapse the government with evidence. Let them come and get me too. That I said, the president did not just appoint the people who were just thieves, plain stealing. While they were stealing, the suppliers were demonstrating, they were not getting their money. They were just giving the money to themselves.
With a school feeding program.
With a school feeding program. Millions. So let them come get me that I said, the people, they are thieves. Thieves, plain stealing.
Awarding money for doing what?
Sena, that's what I'm saying. You know, I hear discuss in the media, discuss in politics, but sometimes because of my background, I tend to try to control myself because we're in very difficult times and some of the stuff are terrible. That terrible that people would just be so angry. So angry. You had a president that, Ibrahim Mahama, you remember Ibrahim Mahama?
Yeah.
He took his machines to Odo to just go and dredge the place for free. You saw the uproar.
Yeah.
That the president was running what? A family and friends.
Yes.
You've seen the government now. How do you call this one?
Radio Gold.
How do you call this one? Look, I like I'm saying, the country is in a very difficult situation. So sometimes you want to be measured with stuff that you say. But where these guys are going, look, they can beg for IMF all they want. That money will get into government coffers and sink immediately.
Why do you say so? Because the IMF usually is very is strict with supervision and are able to monitor what you use their money for.
Sena, mind you, I work as an international risk advisor. I know these agencies very well. World Bank, they give you money. So long as you give them a document covering it, this money we took from you, we applied it for this, the project is finished, photographs added, this is the report. They go home to sleep. Who got the contract? How was the contract awarded? How much? They don't ask. IMF money will come. Okay, do this, do that. Okay, fine. They will come back to business as usual. They will come back to business. Listen, are you thinking that IMF money will come and they will not go to school feeding? What's the architecture of the school feeding? Stealing. Plain stealing. So IMF or no IMF, there's one giant elephant in the room: corruption. I think this government is the most corrupt government we have ever elected into office.
This one.
And forget even their second term. What they've done even in their first term alone surpasses everyone. I'm not saying that you can't find corruption in any of the governments that have come before them. But I'm saying that when it comes to blatant, your face corruption, magnitude corruption, this is the government. But look what they did in opposition. Mustafa Hamid, I think now he's at the petroleum
MP, National Petroleum
National
Authority.
Petroleum. You saw his tears on television. You know how he described Mohammed's presidency? Depraved. Inshallah, we will restore this country, is what he said. The presidency was depraved. Look at what is going on at the presidency now. Depraved. He is part of the most corrupt government. He's now serving in the most corrupt government ever. They're still walking around. You know, I hate to say this, but when you really look at how we are going, I'm telling you, Sena, Ghana is going to be tough. Developing this country is going to be very tough. Because I don't get the point that I elect you today. Mm-hmm. You come and you borrow what you want. Okay? You leave office, the other one comes, and the interest is running because these loans are long-term loans. Mm-hmm. It actually goes beyond the longevity of a sitting government into maybe 4 or 5 governments. Payment period. They don't want to deal with the interest now. That's someone else's business. So they come, and it's not like they're even continuing because they have their own manifesto. So the idea is that this is not in our manifesto. It's in somebody else's manifesto. So why should I? Why should I continue with it? But whilst they do these things, the interest is running. The payments are coming. I think what will work for Ghana is the scenario where the people get to decide. Maybe you can call it sovereign projects. Mm-hmm. That in 20 years, we want to have a rail system, an excellent rail system. And therefore, we don't care how you want to get there, but every year, a certain amount of money must be put aside. We don't care who is in office at the time. A certain amount of money must be kept or invested in these rail projects. Because in 20 years, we want to be here. You want to do industry. the people will decide. Education, for example, that we by 2045, we as a people want to see this kind of education. So therefore, we don't care what your ideas are, but these projects, when you are in office, you have to continue them. You have 40% of your own ideas to add to it, so that continuously we can build on ideas going forward. But the situation where this one comes, he takes big loans, he finishes, the project is in the middle, he leaves, it's put aside, a new one is started, it's also put aside, another one. You cannot develop this way. No country in the world has developed with this kind of behavior. We will not develop. Look, I work in the international risk. When people want to invest in Africa, listen to how they do it. They will come and say, okay, Ghana, for example, do you have a legal system where I can sue and be sued?
Okay.
Tick. In the past 20 years, or in the past 5 years, what is the level of crime? They put cost to all of these things.
Okay.
So the level of crime, tick. So if the crime level is high, the project cost is high, because first, there's the possibility of crime affecting the business or crime affecting the officials that are coming in. So they have to take insurance on them. Tick. Corruption is a major factor in costing. Tick. So they do all these things. Ability to pay for the government or the client to pay for this service. Tick. They go through all of that. Then they cost it. Right? What I find most times is they cost, for example, staff, as if everyone coming to do the project is coming from Europe. So the moment they win the contract, they come to Ghana and say, Sena, you're such an amazing engineer. Come on board. You come on board. You come on board. Come on board. They begin to now recruit staff locally and bring supervisors.
Okay.
But they pay them maybe 1/10 of the amount they used in the original costing. So already that alone is big bonus for them. But when you do these things, look how African governments think. One, the contractor, does he have money? Tick. Can he do the job? Has he done it before? They call it due diligence. That's what African government due diligence, I'm telling you. Does the contractor have money? Tick. Can he do the job? Tick. Those are the small checklists. They never look at the opportunity cost of if we did it ourselves. At the end of the day, you're going to pay anyway. You have thousands of citizens that are looking for jobs. Okay? So the opportunity cost in this analysis is, if I did this project by myself, how much will it cost me? How much of the money will even leave the shores? Because at the end, I will still have to pay. Whether he pays, he pre-finances, and I pay, or whatever it is, I will have to pay. So why I always ask myself when we do these projects, why doesn't African government think about the opportunity cost? Because the cost of projects will be half. Oh, I forgot to add one on the government's checklist. How much do I get personally? How much do I get personally? You saw the story about FIFA.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see the documentary about FIFA? Listen, Qatar wanted to host the World Cup, okay? And America was in there. They wanted to do it. Other countries wanted to do it. Qatar wants the president of FIFA at the time is
Sir Black.
No, because he had been kicked. The one from France.
Oh, I think that was. Is it?
I don't know whether it's Platini or whatever they call it.
No, Michel Platini was.
No, there was a French guy. Okay, so you listen to this story.
Okay.
UEFA, Michel Platini.
UEFA, okay.
Okay, so the French guys get to invite the Qataris to France. And they say, well, you want to do this World Cup. Everybody's against you. You know that. Yes. Okay. Look, we have this team, this PSG. It's our flagship team. It has financial problems. So, we can you invest in it? They say yes. Okay, that's one. The other thing is that they signed a multi-billion-dollar defense contract with France as a condition for them to support them in their bid.
Okay.
Brazil comes the same way. Say, listen, well, people are against you, and if we have to support you, eventually, the short story is that they asked Qatar to set up a huge gas refinery in Brazil as a condition for their support. Okay, Taiwan, all of them did the same. Do you know what the Africans did? The Qataris went to Angola to meet, I think, the African Football Association, CAF. They were having a congress. First, they decided to sponsor it. And second, they dealt with them individually. And you know what happened? Everybody took $1 million and voted for Qatar. Thailand had a massive gas deal. France had a multi-billion-dollar defense contract. Brazil had a massive gas contract. And Africans went there with their stomach. It's just the way we are. Look, when a crime happens in your neighborhood, your neighbors just raise their head. Oh, sorry, that's it. You're on your own. Europeans and white people don't think like that. They think, this is my neighbor. If he is a victim, I am next. So he supports you all the way, just so that he does not become a victim. We think individual. They think community. So we have the situation where people come into office, they're thinking about their stomach. They think about individual, their family. And they will lead the nation into such a mess and walk away and nothing happens. So when we do these projects, I always wonder, why can't African governments, no matter when you are going to pay, call Volvo or Caterpillar and say, I need 200 trucks, okay, for my project. And the good thing is that those trucks could be used for other projects, isn't it? But I need you to set up a servicing station here if I'm ordering that many, so you can service them, because our problem is maintenance. You buy your own trucks, you hire your own people. We even have Ministry for Works and Housing. What do? They're only specialists in procurement. And all the contracts, and they go to China and bring China Railway. That company belongs to the government. Huawei. So I see that they don't learn. They go to Europe and they go to China and see how things are going, but they don't learn. You had Kufo when he was in office. Government have no business being in business. Then he goes to Bawumia goes to China to go and ask for a loan, where Chinese government-owned state-run agencies are coming to do the project. So I always ask myself, why don't they learn?
Did you not give the answer yourself when you talk about what they gain personally?
That's it. Because
as long as you keep learning, you keep gaining.
Yes.
What else is there to learn?
Like I told you, I find that in most times when you're doing risk, the inviting country is looking at the minister. How much am I going to get? How much? It's such a big thing. And you find European companies scrambling on how to accommodate this thinking in their projects.
How much the minister?
How much these people are going to ask.
Okay.
And so long as their belly is full, they don't reason anymore. I say, you are going to pay the money, whether it is 50 years' time or not. You have Ghanaians that are looking for jobs. You have technical universities scattered across the country, the people graduating without jobs. Yet you go and take a contract, hand it over to Europeans, go to, just when I was coming, this overhead that is going on at the
one Kanishi Runabout.
Kanishi Runabout.
Yeah.
Look how many foreigners are working there. Ghanaians. The supervisor is white. The cost of the project from the beginning is based on European or whichever country is coming from standards or international standards. So they apply international cost and pay local prices. So by the time they are done with the project, they have millions. And what? Not just that, the money just transits in your bank account and goes back to Europe. Imagine if you have a $200 million project where all of that is sitting in Ghana government coffers or is going to be paid to individual Ghanaians who are doing the project. Pay them European salaries. Imagine that for a minute. But every time you look at projects, the Africans are always looking at something completely different. They are in a hurry, right? They are in a hurry to just get the project underway and get what they want to get out of it and move on. So they never ever look at the opportunity cost of this kind of financing. And I always look back and like, the only country that was different, Rwanda. I'll tell you a story about Rwanda. We had a project to build, I don't know whether I can say this, to build bunkers, okay? And the contract was awarded purely on tender, very strict tender. After the contract was finished, one of the senior executives went and offered $1 million to a minister of state. You know what they did to him? The guy went straight to the police to report him. They went straight to the highest office to report him. The next day, he was arrested. They said, if you can find $1 million in your contract to give for free, it means the contract was inflated. The contract was cancelled and everybody was booted out. Rwanda again. Rwanda has a very terrible topography, if you've been to Rwanda before. So road construction is very difficult. You can construct road, and if things cave in, it will destroy. So the Rwandans had a challenge of how to distribute things to the hinterlands, how to overcome the challenge of the topography to deliver things like medicine to people. So they came out with a clever idea to use drones. Rather than construct road, I will fly over the hills and deliver medicine, essential medicine, to citizens. Our vice president went to Rwanda. Listen to this. Now, people say it, and people say, oh, maybe it's politics. It's not politics. It just drums home the fact that we have people who don't know what they're doing. Look, Ghana has road networks across the country. Yeah. Okay? They've built blood banks in almost every district. They bought ambulances to transport patients in and out of hospitals. But the vice president went to Rwanda and came back with the idea that they needed to use the Rwandan approach to fly over all the roads that they have constructed, fly over all the ambulances that they've purchased to deliver medicines by drone. And you know what? They don't have the money to support the project. I have the documents there. They go to GMPC and collect, and you know, that's not even it. They now hire a private company. That is the irony of it. A private company to be soliciting for assistance from government agencies to finance the payment of the drone service. GMPC is one.
They hire a private company.
A private company
to solicit funds from.
To solicit funds and take a percentage, so that they will give that the rest of the money to the Ministry of Health to pay for the supplies for the work of the drone service.
You're saying this company was soliciting funds from
GMPC, and you do know why they try to jail Chachichukata.
That was a farm, rice farm,
cocoa farm.
Okay.
The gentleman, it's painful, really painful, because you see, they tried to jail Chachu for causing financial loss to the state that GMPC had no business investing in cocoa.
Yeah.
Jim Wilson, I knew him personally. I knew Jim Wilson personally. They pretended that the cocoa farm did not even exist. They won't even go to the farm at the time they're trying to put Chachichukata in jail. They will not even go to the farm to see the size of what that money was put to. And let me tell you how this arrangement came up. You know, Cocoa Board is always looking for dollars.
Yeah.
But always have CDs.
Yeah.
GMPC sometimes have dollars and are looking for CDs.
Okay.
So there was some sort of an arrangement. Of course, Jim Wilson was close to Jerry Rawlings. There's no doubt about that. Jerry Rawlings, June 4th, in Kokomlem, what's the name of this place? Here, this area.
Ablekuma Central.
No, the name. The name of the area.
This area, Latibia Okoshi.
Latibia Okoshi.
Yeah.
So Jim Wilson's flat here is where Jerry Rawlings used to run his office.
Yeah.
So they wanted to punish Jerry Rawlings, who now became their hero, and in order to do that, they needed to put Chachichukata in prison. Okay, so they go to GMPC and collect money, take their share, and pay for the drones. The vice president's idea, look at his thinking, that he was going to use a drone to fly over all the roads and all the blood banks and all the ambulances, because Rwanda was doing it. Rwanda was doing it specifically because their topography made it more cost effective to use drones rather than build roads. So this is the kind of thinking. You heard that First Lady goes to GMPC to solicit for funds for her NGO. You heard that, right? You heard the story about the president's daughter at the authority. She says that
the Ghana Tourism Authority.
The authority gave permission to a private company, the same arrangement. The same company, the authority gave permission to a private company to go to Ghana Gas to solicit for funds to do that ridiculous painting they are doing across the town. Look, if you have traveled extensively, what they're doing there is graffiti. Graffiti is hated. In fact, in some countries, it's a criminal offense. But what are we doing? We are paying artists, we are paying graffitis all over our construction. And we're paying for it from government coffers. Look at the vice president. You inherit a mostly analog system, right? There are two concepts: digitization, digitalization. Okay? Digitization is that you have a manual system that you want to now convert into a digital platform. Digitalization is that you are running on a completely digital platform.
Okay.
You come to government and inherit over 57 years of analog. And where do you start from? Digitalization. One would have thought, okay, we have things at national archives. We have things, government documents that need to be put in a digital format first, so that when you introduce a digital platform, you can access it, right? When you start with digitalization, you are locked out of the analog. The 57 years of your history is out.
You're starting all over again.
You're starting on a digitalization note instead of first building a digital platform, digitizing your system, digitizing your documents, so that when you embrace digitalization, you can still take on board the 50 years of history. He's running around this town and nobody controls them because they are in office. And when you enter into crisis, you say it's COVID or it's Ukraine. I worked as a representative for the Ukrainian defense industry here in West Africa. Listen, if you go on the platforms, even when bombs are being thrown, they are going house to house, paying people's pensions.
In Ukraine?
In Ukraine.
Pensions are being paid?
Pensions, people's pensions. Old people, they address the postal system. They're going house to house, paying pensions. You are sitting here in Accra, converting other people's pension into haircuts. You are still blaming Ukraine. Ukraine will get out of this war. I can tell you, mark my words. Ukraine will get out of this war, even as we speak. Ukraine is exporting massive amounts of grain. Of all the fight that is going on, one of the things that is allowed to be exported is grain. They are exporting massive amounts. How much grain does Ghana export? When they wrote their manifesto in 2016, it's here. They're going to transform agriculture. You failed to do that, and after 6 years, and this was supposed to have been done 4 years ago. Okay, this is 2016 manifesto.
Yeah.
You were going to transform agriculture and build industries out of it. They gave you the money, they gave you the budget, they failed. Ukraine is exporting grain as we speak in the middle of war. Ghana has no war, and they are blaming Ukraine for their crisis. When Ukraine finishes, they will rebuild. Russia has $600 billion that have been confiscated. It will be given to Ukraine. They will rebuild. Ghana will still be where we are. Because we have leaders like this. So you look at these guys walking around with all that. You remember them? NHIS. Oh, government, NDC time. Government is not paying. Government doesn't pay. They've mismanaged the NHIS. What's happening now? They can't pay. Worse. 10 times worse.
They are not hearing the same level of
criticism.
Yeah.
Brings me to a very important question. It's how MPP wins elections and how NDC wins elections.
Okay.
If you look at the map, I can show you. From 92, Sena. This is the map of Ghana.
Okay.
Okay. This is MPP. This is NDC. You seen that?
Mm-hmm.
The green area is NDC.
Yeah.
They have to cover almost every inch of ground in this country to win elections.
Okay.
MPP needs to just focus here.
Only two.
And they win.
2 regions.
2 regions. So when you get power, you don't play. When you are handed power, you don't play. You know, the NDC map, electoral map, is a Jerry Rawlings electoral map. I think in the history of Ghana, there are only 2 presidents that have been like really influential in developing the map: Kufuor and Jerry Rawlings.
Okay.
I say that because Jerry Rawlings' map is this. And the reason for this is very simple. Like I always say, elections in Ghana come to 2 things: the economy and corruption. These 2.
Economy, corruption.
Economy and corruption. Every time there's economic crisis, MPP loses. because the cities feel it the most. Their votes are all in the urban areas. And not just that, they control public opinion in the urban areas. Only a few people. They control public opinion. They make sure. Look, when Kufuor was in government, it was so important to him that he formed these serial callers. You remember? Because they needed to shape public opinion in the urban areas. So they were actually paying people to call in. It's like fake news. Now, that's how we will call it now. Fake news. They were actually paying serial callers just so they can shape public opinion. Under Kufuor's Ministry of Information, they had what they call the rapid response. When there's anything, quickly, somebody has to respond. Not just that. They are more friendly with the media, and they control a bigger part of the media than the NDC. Because for them, their votes are here in the urban areas. The day they lose public opinion in the urban areas, they lose elections. NDC was in office. They had what do you call it? And look, when Kufuor's time, I don't want to mention specific media houses. They made sure that media house was properly established. Fast forward Nanado's time. Now they have TV, they have radio, they have newspaper. Okay? How many of the NDC media houses is left? When they were in office, they won't even give adverts to their own. Public opinion was not important to them. That's why you lose. There's something they call the Pareto principle. It's a very fantastic principle. It's called the powerful few. Okay? Look at this map. That's the powerful few. That at any given point, 20% of output will be 80% of output in any organization or in any whatever. 80% of the output will be generated by 20% of your employees, if you look at it in the organizational sense.
Okay.
So you have a country with this green map. This thing is not even up to 20%. But they are generating, sometimes they are able to influence opinion all over because they are sitting in the urban areas and they are influencing public opinion about you. If you are a politician and you want to stay in office, you should know that. Twitter, there was a study that was undertaken by Twitter 2010, 2011. And this Pareto principle is so important because US adults, those who can tweet, 10% of US adults contribute to 90% of all the tweets in the United States. So they shape public opinion, 10%. Globally, for Twitter and for most media houses, for most social media houses, it's about 20%. 20% of the people control public opinion. They are responsible for 80% of tweets. So when you and most of these tweets are in the cities. Go on Facebook, go on Twitter, look at the army, look, the presidency now. There are people who are sitting at the president whose job is just to be on social media to control public opinion. So this small group, out of this maybe 20% that is controlling public opinion in Ghana, maybe 15% are coming from the MPP through the media houses, through social media platforms, and the rest. So when you are in government and you have the opportunity to allocate frequencies, you don't joke with it.
Well, I think we have to bring, because I just realized we have about a minute to go.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, or 2 minutes to go.
Anyway.
But before we go, just something that came up recently, and you came to mind, to be very frank.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard what the CEO from McDonald Group of Companies said about the youth.
Yes.
Did you hear that? Did you
Yes.
hear it? When he said it, everybody started saying, "Oh, you knew that, and you went to demolish a business that was started by Raymond Archer." When you heard that, how did you?
First of all, you know, I'll say something. You know, ICAM. ICAM was the biggest printing company in the whole of Africa.
Okay.
Kufuor came, they brought them to their knees. Ediana was one of the most successful businesses in Ghana. Kufuor's time, they brought him to his knees. Kufuor's time, they jailed Victor Solomon. They jailed Kwame Pepra. They jailed Sipayanki for causing financial loss to the state. Kufuor's time, they jailed Chachuchi Kata for causing financial loss to the state. As we speak today, okay, Agongo and Opuni are in court because they said they've caused financial loss to the state. They have this pattern where they target NDC people when they are in office, destroy their business, build their own, destroy their politicians, prop up their own. You see, when this government came into office, forget what Kufuor did. Let's come into this government. First, they targeted Dufour's bank, brought it down. Targeted Agongo's bank because he's supposed to be linked to the NDC, brought it down. In fact, they actually spent 20 billion
to bring down banks.
Bring down banks that needed only 9 billion. That couldn't be common sense. Like I said to you, it's either they know what they're doing and they don't care, or they know what they care, they know what they're doing, but they don't give a hoot about anyone. So now they came for my business, okay? And McDonald, he has to pray. You know, I don't talk too much, but he has to pray that his government stays in office for forever. Now he has the McDonald Group. You know that, right? When they came into office, you know the first thing they did? The guy who was supposed to be a millionaire, the finance minister had to take money from ADB to give him to go and do contract at Cocoa Board. If every Ghanaian is given that opportunity, no one will sleep. So they come here, McDonald. Now a whole lagoon, natural resource, lagoon, was seized and given to him. And all the people who lived on that lagoon, and I understand it's about 4,000 to 5,000 livelihoods, have been taken and given to one man. Not just that, he has McDonald Aviation. He has another company in mining. He has Electrochem. He's building his empire whilst trampling on other people. It's who they are. It's what they have always done. That's why I say to you, Ken, you heard what he said to Parliament. In the past 4 years, how much Data Bank has made from contracting loans? Almost 150 million. That comes to 2 million a month. A little over 2 million Ghana cedis a month. Okay, ask yourself. In the deal with the deal to sell Ghana electricity company.
Yeah, electricity company, ECG.
Yes.
Yeah, the concession.
Yes.
The one that the PDS take
the
over.
PDS deal.
Yeah.
You saw Gabi's name in there.
Yes.
His company's name in there. They are building their empire. They are trampling over everyone. They will jail some of the NDC people. And yet, when they come to power, they play Kid Grove. This time, if they come to power, which I think they will, and they mess with these kind of things, they'll be on their own for a very long time. Look at the businesses that these guys build. The businessmen. Sometimes I feel like the NDC people lick their feet and leg and back. When there are NDC events and they show up, they even get more escorts than the NDC people. NDC comes to office, they help certain businesses. There's no condition. So every time they're struggling, look at the map. Logistically, you just imagine logistically what NDC has to go through. They need 10 times the budget NDC MPP needs to win. So if you don't build your own, if you don't safeguard your politicians and you allow them to, and the reason why they create corruption, look what they did to Muhammad's image. He's corrupt. He's built houses in mansions in Dubai. The first lady, Lodina. He was the most tortured first lady in our history under Mahama. And you know what? Surprisingly, she is the most industrious first lady we've ever had. I mean, prior to coming into office. That woman, ask which of the first ladies we have had since the Fourth Republic, who is as industrious as the woman before they came into office? Yet, they ridiculed her husband, got away with it because they control public opinion.
Well, I wish you could continue.
So as for Magdan, I wish him well, but he has to pray that his government stays in office forever.
Thank you. Thank you very much for passing through. Raymond Archer joining us this morning. A lot of people are saying I have to bring you back. When he's free, some other time, he will be back in the studio with me discussing issues, national issues. But thank you. I'm very grateful.
Very grateful too.
Well, that's how we close the show for today. Today is a holiday. DJ Kofi is in charge, taking over from Ochiame. Ochiame will be back tomorrow with the mid-morning show. But DJ Kofi, over to you from the Gold Morning Conversations. We are back tomorrow.
Mafuya meya, you say hepatitis. Me to ase, me sremu. Asa why you be na ekiki me? Emuya meya.
Sciatica, any bone fracture no. You do Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Dr.